Hi everyone, Lydia Crowder here, and today on the Build Show Network, we're going to be talking about some common issues that you can run into with screws and how to fix them. So I went ahead and just prepped some of these screws. Our hanger did not do this bad in one row. He's actually a really good hanger. But I went ahead and prepped some things so that we can go over how to fix them and what to look for. So very first, this right here is a pop. There is a screw back in there, but it's way too far. So when we set screws, we want them to be set about here or here. So they're not breaking the paper, they're holding the drywall board, and they're holding the drywall board to the stud. What happens when we do a pop is it's going way too far. There's nothing for that screw to hold onto, so it's not holding the board anymore, and it's just sticking in the stud, and that's why you have that movement, because there's mud filling the hole, but there's nothing to stop the board from moving anymore because the screw's gone way too far and it's not even holding the board. So when we have pops, what we do is we actually take the screw out, and then you're going to put a screw here and you're going to put a screw here. So when you are working on older homes or you're remodeling, it's really important to not do it too tight, especially when you've had board that's been settling or it's a little bit older. If you suck those screws down too deep, it's going to go ahead and create pops across the whole row. So set it like normal, but don't like overset it. You don't want to be overzealous, and kind of just keep an eye on your wall too. If it's starting to look like it might be popping or moving too much, don't sink your screw quite as deep. But they're very, very common, happen a lot. Let's see if I can get this. As you can see, the mud's pushing forward and it's wiggling a little bit there. I don't know if you can kind of tell. It's 5/8, so it's not wanting to show up as much, but that would be a pop that will just continue to move, and it actually will never look like it's spotted either because it'll sink back and then push forward. So they can be a real pain. Now, another one that's real common are shiners. So this is not set deep enough. So when we go to spot this, you can still see the entire screw head and you're still seeing black. When we normally spot, we're filling that and it's covering the whole entire screw head. This one though, the whole screw head is still showing and it's shining through. So that's why we call it a shiner. So for these guys, you want to just go ahead and take your screwdriver and just go until it's tight-ish. You don't want to go too far again. We don't want to be busting all the way through that paper. And then just set it correctly and then just go ahead and respot it. Now, the worst that we can run into and the ones that cause the most problems and damage tools are clickers. And I'll show you why we call it a clicker. You can hear that, it's clicking. What happens with these is they're set too far out. They weren't screwed all the way in. So it's when we find these in flats, butts, and angles, they can actually damage tools. They're especially dangerous in angles because they will break blades on angle heads, and they will also nick and ding up flushers. Same things with the boxes. If you're running automatic tools, it will also ding and can really break your blades or cause unnecessary damage to your tools. So when you run into one of these guys, same thing again, take your screwdriver and set it to where it should be. So all of these things are super common, but also easily fixable. Depending on the job, sometimes we will actually go through and have to prep the angles beforehand if the crew was not particularly fantastic. But clickers like that are always something we're keeping an eye out for, especially where we're running tools over the areas. And last but not least, but our misses. So there was a miss here, and say in your house you've removed a nail or a picture hanging or something like that, and you've got a big hole like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spot it first, remove my excess, and then I'm going to take the end of my knife and wiggle that loose paper down and into there. You can give it a tiny little tap. You don't want to go too hard because you don't want to bust all that drywall board that's there. And you'll come back and respot. So the reason I'm doing the mud first and then doing the squishing is the mud helps pull that paper down and back into that screw hole. So if you're at your house, you have a bunch of stuff like that, mud, squish it in, and then do it again. But that's it for screws, and you can tell that pop started to like move more and more forwards as we've been talking. So that's what those look like. And that's it for me this week. You can check me out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. I'm under Drywall Shorty. And I will check you guys next week for a new episode all about drywall. Have a great day.